So, it's been a bit. I've decided to change my font here to extra large. And I think I'm gonna go crazy. Hold on. Hold on. Oh my god. Okay, that's so much better. You ever try something and then realize it was a mistake and then never do it again? And now you know. That was one of those times. That was really uncomfortable. Anyway, I haven't done one of these in a very long time because my life went to shit. I had a very rough past couple months. And basically I'm going to quit my job very soon. And I don't really have one lined up. I'm not even going to look for a new job for a while. I don't know, I guess I'm going to say I'm like struggling. I'm not struggling like financially, like my job pays really well. We have a lot of freedom at work to kind of do what we want. There's benefits to it, but at the same time, somebody's gonna get mad. Not that anyone watches these things, God, but the quiet quitting amongst my coworkers is becoming untenable for me because I work with patients. There's patient care involved. We'll just say there's other people's lives, literally. Okay, I get it. Literally in our hands at times, and I have very, very checked out coworkers, and it does make me really sad and frustrated on a continuous basis. They're frustrated and I'm frustrated, but our frustrations are different in the sense that I'm frustrated at them for not caring anymore about patients, and they're frustrated at me for pointing out that they don't care about patients, and I wish I was making that up as the reason why that I'm having so many problems at work. I wish. Is that the definitive truth? Not exactly, but did my coworkers, in fact, multiple of them, tell me that they don't care enough to work hard because they don't get paid enough? They don't get paid enough to work hard. These buttons are small. Yeah, and I mean, yes, money is a thing, but at the same time, I guess I feel like my wage is acceptable. I haggled though, and the ones who told me that they don't get paid enough to care didn't really haggle their pay, which sounds like a them problem. But instead of leaving this job or bringing it up with management or something, getting more certifications so you are better qualified or something, they just take it out on the patients. That's the thing. At the end of the day, they're taking it out on the patient. That's how it feels to me, at least. And maybe I'm wrong, but it's a constant source of frustration. Just the lack of care in patient care. So I kind of went a little crazy and tried to distract myself with other things, but none of the things I was distracting myself with made me happy. Most of them weren't even things I wanted to distract myself with. I just formed a habit of just kind of coasting and, like, I don't want to say I was suffering, but I just formed a habit of just enduring, even though I had nothing good to endure. There was no reason for me to endure. I don't need to be here. Like, I can go and get a different job and go somewhere else. And if they also don't care about patient care, then guess what? I can go. and I can go get a job and work somewhere else. And so on. And that's it. Like, I can keep going. I don't have to ever end this quest. And I have a continuous source of input from like people in my life saying like, it's everywhere now. Everywhere's like this. And I go, let's prove it. Fine. I will go everywhere. I will visit every country. I will go everywhere. Do I have a 3 on the board? And I'll prove it. Let's prove whether or not this is happening everywhere. Pickles. So that's kind of where I'm at. I had a period of, despair here, and suffered. But I think I'm doing better now. And I was very coy about what I was doing and where I work for safety reasons. Not that, again, not that anyone ever gonna listen to this. One of my videos, I thought I privated all of them. I was in a mood and I thought I privated all of them. And also I was talking about the situation with shitty people, and I ended up having a very painful, somewhat sexual, emotional affair, more of emotionally charged, kind of needy, codependent relationship, briefly, thank God, with a coworker and former friend of mine, and that put a big strain on me for a while because I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what she wanted from me. I tried to ask, and it was, kind of awkward to do that. But it was a struggle because, like, I wanted to give her the attention. I also wanted the attention from her, but we never ended up on the same page. I think there was just a communication problem, and that's it. There was just huge communication problems, and she did tell me that she is not a good communicator. And it's just a case of you don't want to believe bad things about the people that you care about. I didn't want to believe that she was like that, because I didn't want to believe that anyone was like that, because how could anyone be like that? And so I struggled significantly with that for a while. I was really unclear about what I was doing and like why we were doing it and what she wanted from me and what was I actually able to give her and all this stuff. And honestly, I wasn't really sure it was really happening, because for the first few weeks we worked together and she didn't say anything and I didn't say anything and she didn't act any differently and I didn't act any differently and everything was fine and like it was before, like nothing's happening except we got a little bit closer in our friendship, which is fine because we had a conversation about that, so it kind of made sense. And then it just kept going, and finally I had to break my seal and like confront it, and it was rough because I'm just not experienced with that sort of stuff. I just did not know what to do. And she did not have any patience to guide me. She wanted what she wanted from me, and just didn't. And our friendship dissolved because of that. I think because we just couldn't communicate in the end. We just couldn't speak each other's language, and I feel a million times better without her in my life, without having to worry. Do I worry? Kind of. Yeah, do I worry for her safety because she's making some dumbass decisions? Yeah. But do I worry specifically for her in regards to, like, myself? No. Not at all. I don't regard her at all. Like, I'm not waiting for her to text me in that sort of sense. That's what I mean. I'm not waiting for her to text me. I'm not waiting for a phone call. I'm not waiting for a photo. I'm not like, on the edge waiting for her, worried that she's doing something stupid. I kind of know she's doing stupid stuff now, and that's her business. I'm not involved in the aftermath of other people's choices. Like, what she wants from me was dictated by other people. And I don't have that in my life anymore, and I feel significant. I feel significant. I'm like kind of actually shaking talking about it. It was rough. It was really, really rough. Like, there's a lot more to the story that I'm not going to tell, but it was just rough, man. And I feel like one more of these, and we'll get to that. Don't look. I'm grateful that one day I decided to just stop it. I did it in a very rude way. I did it very abruptly after she was very kind to me, and I have no regrets over that. And you don't know. I say that I'm like, but you don't know. One day, would I like to speak to her again? Yeah. Why? For closure? No. The doors, I feel like my hand will always be out to her. Like, if she wanted my help, my hand's always out to her. But she has to want it. I can't force it on her. So do I want someone like that in my life? Yeah. Maybe, if they become someone different. Because how I see it is I see all of it. I see all of you all the time. I see everything you are. I see all the doors. I see all of the potential that people have. And even if someone doesn't see it in themselves, in fact, most people cannot see their own potentials, I think. But I see all of it. And I know it's there. And I know if somebody works hard for it, and some people don't even have to work hard for it. If they just work for it at all, they get it. And it's theirs. And it wasn't even that bad. And it was worth it. You just have to go for it. But do other people see that about themselves? Do other people know that they can just end their suffering at any time? Do you know you don't have to suffer, that it's a choice? And that there are people who are going to really push back on that. Severely push back on that concept. They're going to be very, very angry with such a concept. And then I am going to ask you to let me explain what I mean. Because suffering is a choice. In the same way, in this very moment in time, listening to this video is a choice. And in the same way, and in this very moment in time, clicking away or doing something else. Or going into a memory of yours of a time when you were in, high school. And you were maybe upset about what somebody said about you, or you got rejected by somebody a crush that you had, and you can re-feel all of those emotions and the thoughts that you had in your head at the moment. But why would you do that? That's a choice. Why would you go back and think about all of these things that hurt you? It hurts you, so why are you thinking about it? The thought hurts you. Did the action hurt you? 15 years later? 20 years later? 50 years later? Is it the actions that hurt you? Or is it your memory of it? And your thinking about it that's hurting you? Stop it. Stop thinking about it. Oh my god. You doubt yourself? Stop it. Stop it. You think you can't? You think you can't go to Harvard Law School? Why? Like it's hard? And you think you can't ever get out of the life that you're living right now? That the lack of purpose and the depression and the despair and the anxiety, we're gonna let the fates decide, are too much to bear. We're gonna need an ad. We're gonna need an ad. And I wish I knew how to pause this. I just have go or not go. One day, I'm gonna figure out how to record and pause a screen record. One day. I promise you. If someone could tell me how to do that, I really appreciate it. I'm just using the built-in Windows one. But I have a NVIDIA screen recorder too. Yeah. I was going off on a very serious topic, and then I completely fizzled it with some bullshit. You know what? That is called comic relief. Because it's just some heavy shit, and we needed a minute. Okay, so we've taken our minute, we've stopped and we've paused, and we can move forward. So you think all these things that happen to you are really what's hurting you. The septic shock you experienced from poor patient care in a hospital 40 years ago is the problem. Not the fact that you keep bringing it up. That you ended up getting septic from poor patient care, non-sterile technique in the OR. And it made you sick, and it hurts you every day because you now have a permanent wound. That hurts every day. That's never going to get better. That wound's never going to get better. But have you gone a single day of your life not thinking about what happened to you? And thinking about it negatively and continuing to ruminate and reminisce on it and bring it up and reflect on it, but come to the same conclusions time after time after time that you did nothing wrong. And why is that thought not comforting to you? That you did nothing wrong? That something was done to you? But that's it, it was done. It's done. And you have to deal with the consequences. And the way that you've chosen to deal with the consequences is to think about it negatively every day for 40 years. That's what you've chosen. That is directed towards someone I used to know, who I do care for, and I don't care for many people. I have ended so many friendships on a whim, on I had a bad sneeze. Okay. I don't care. Yeah. And someone I cared for has decided to take a very dark path in their life. They turned off the light. They don't see their path anymore. I think it's still there. You can still walk it. But he can't see it. And it really stressed me out. And this is not the person I had the affair with, obviously. One's a female, one's a male. But I will say, I care a lot about my friends. I probably care too much about my friends. I get a little too close to my friends sometimes. I intervene sometimes. I try to get in their heads. I try to make them stop feeling the way that they feel about themselves, because a lot of them are very negatively, a lot of people feel really poorly for themselves. It's not just, certain individuals. I think it's more, it's a bigger issue every day. And so I see the potentials in these people and in my friends, and it hurts me when they fail. And I sort of wrongly almost take it personal, which I should not do. Obviously, that is bad. But I don't know. That's hard to do. So my buddy is going down a really, really bad place right now, and I don't know that I can help him. I don't know that anyone can help him. I don't know that he can be. I don't know if he's alive to help. To be honest, I had to end that relationship too. I ended at least 4 relationships in the past 2 weeks of my life. In the past those weeks. Yeah, it's been rough. I don't know. That's why I felt like doing this again, because even though no one's watching it, it made me feel better for a little bit, at least, to do it. I don't know why. It just did. And I'm cheating. Yeah, I had to let go of everyone. I pushed everyone away. I pushed my mother away. I pushed myself away. It's a weird concept, but yeah, you can push yourself away. Probably more easily than you think. But I mean, I canceled plans with every single person I know, even people I didn't really even have plans with. I canceled plans with. They're just like, what? Yeah, I was a fucking disaster. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, I kind of do, in the sense that, like, I ended these really stressful relationships, and I did so in a very harsh way that hurt the other person and myself. And I did that to make it permanent. It wasn't like I did it for their benefit. I did it because I knew it would hurt them the most, and I just really never wanted to. I really want to isolate myself, especially from these people, which is really concerning. And I have been going through these phases of ups and downs and ups and downs, and yeah, I don't know what to say. I think I have a bigger problem than I know what to do with when it comes to this stuff, but I am thankful that I'm sort of aware of it, in the sense that, like, I see these problems in my friends, and I try to help them, but who am I really trying to help? Myself, right? I'm really just trying to help myself, because I tend to attract the people who have the same sort of hang-ups and hold on tos that I do. Like, my buddy held on to his poor patient care for 40 years. 40. And I mean, I'm not 40 yet, so I can't really hold on to anything that long, but I am holding on to things from my past. I'm holding on to things from my past, for sure. And I mean, we all do it. It's not like it's a big secret. The thing is, I try to help them, right? I try to help my friends when I see they have the same problem. And I really want to help myself. And then I see that I can't help them. And I don't know why, because the answer is so clearly obvious. It's so obvious what you have to do. You have to let it go. And you have to accept that there are things you cannot change, and people you cannot change, and situations that you cannot change. And you have no control over your future. You can try to have control over it, you can hustle for it. And in a loose way, you have some control in your actions, right? But you can't change if a drunk driver hits you and you perish, right? You can't change things like that. You can't change the will and the might of the universe. She knows what she wants, and she's working towards it every day. That bitch never sleeps. She got her eyes on you. She knows exactly what she's gonna do. Right? So why are you worried about things that you can't control? I can't change your perception of me. I can't change if you've chosen to listen to this entire thing or not, right? Like, I can't control that. Who can control that? No one, right? No one can control it. I can't control if you're connecting with this or not. I can't. I really can't. I don't know if you get this or not, if you're understanding this or not. I can control how I feel about it, right? I can control how I think about it. I can control my thoughts and my actions. I can't control yours. But can't I control my own? Can't I? In fact, isn't it kind of the only thing that you can control? No matter what has happened to you or will happen to you as the universe has decided this. Yes, the spoiler is true. It's Stoicism. To an extent. Not every system's perfect, right? But yeah. The universe already knows what it's going to do. But do you know what you're going to do? Well, how can you? You can't read the future. But you don't live in the future. You live right now. All you can control are your thoughts and your feelings and your actions. And sometimes it feels like you're on a rail. When something happens to you, when you get confronted, you get defensive, you might even say things you don't even remember saying. You might get in trouble for that, you might get a little stressed out from that, there might be consequences for those actions. But you don't even remember doing it because you were so out of control. Because you think you can't control that. But you can. You can. And you can't change it overnight, alright? Like, don't worry about changing it overnight. I think that is a foolish goal. It's gonna be a really long process. And for people who are not aware of what changes you're going to make in your life after this happens, you will not regard them. They will be not merely water under the bridge. They will just be water somewhere else. They won't even be in your line of sight. Excuse me. And I don't know, maybe it's too idyllic to think like this. To think that you have control over your actions, but I do. And it's kind of weird because every day it gets stronger and stronger. It's slight, but it's gotten better. That's my phone. And it is really little by little. It really is. But it's also so much better. Just slowly. And I mean, the kind of changes that you make and the kind of consciousness that you become aware of, you don't unlearn it because you just live it every day. For example, I'll give you concretes. I have started telling my friends that I appreciate them more. Like, when we're talking or whatever, I was venting to my friend earlier today. She vented a little with me, vented a little with her, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm taking up a lot of your time. And she's like, this is what friends are for. And I'm like, we're talking about being a little depressed, being a little lost, a little listless, and lacking purpose, lacking aspiration, maybe, everything is a maybe, never a maybe line. Maybelline, it's a maybe, not a Maybelline. I don't know. It's relevant to the ad that I have nothing to do with. It's just shown to me. One day I'm gonna get rid of these. They're kind of funny though. I don't know. They're the comic relief that we need. So I've started telling my friends that I appreciate their friendship more and that I value them, and I started telling them the good things that I see in them, and that is a teeny tiny little change that I've done. What do you think will happen in my future for doing that? Do you think that will ever be erased? Maybe if I do something bad enough. How bad do you have to be to erase that? I don't know that I can be that bad. I've already tempered people, and I've already told them what to expect from me, and I've already pre-warned them that, I float. I don't sink, I float. And I float into the atmosphere, and I go places other people wouldn't dare. So, I leave. I move. I'm not moving on from them. I'm not running away from them. I'm running towards my aspirations and my goals. And it's their choice to see that, to see the aspirations within me, and to support me during that. And not everybody will, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, it's probably preferred, because you don't want everybody in your life. Some people kind of suck. Some people lie to you. Some people want to use you. Some people want to hurt you. And you wonder why. And it's because they thought you were a person who cut you off in traffic 5 years ago. That kind of made you really nervous and scared. That then you had a really bad job interview and you didn't get the job you wanted. And then your life kind of fell apart from there. So you blame this person, this anonymous person, instead of actually blaming yourself. It's not a true story. I thought it was a good example. But things like that, right? Like people hold grudges. People see you, they perceive you. You give them parts of you. You give yourself away, little by little. With everything you say, you give yourself away. And then one day you do something that answers a question that they had wanted to ask. You start answering unasked questions when you show the world how you handle things and how you respond and think about the world. And you give yourself away until one day people make a decision and they never sway from that decision. People, when they make one decision, they don't go back. They don't even think about you anymore in any other capacity. They don't learn about you. They're not curious about you. Whatever question was answered, you'll never know. Because you never got to ask. Because they never gave you permission. Because they judged you. And then they moved on. And that's it. That's all there is. That's what people do. That's what most people do. Is that what you want to do, though? It's not really. It's not really what I want to do. I don't want to ever stop revising my opinions of others because I could be wrong. What if I'm wrong? I'm a scientist. My job title is literally scientist. And I just can't fathom never asking the question again. That's just not how it works. And it's like all of these decks of cards, you know, I could go back and I could play the same one over and 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 over again. Just like people can keep going back to the same thoughts. You can keep going back to the same thoughts over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until the end, and no one will ever stop you. And you'll just keep thinking about the same things in the same way, probably. And you'll try to go back. You know, you'll go back. You'll do your undo, right? We'll do that, and maybe, well, maybe I wanted to do this instead, right? And you're gonna go down a different path. And the cards will reveal themselves to you in a different way. And that way may or may not be as beneficial as the way before. And you might get back on track. And you might think, oh sweet, like I need to go this way actually. This is actually a really good idea. Hold on, I don't need to worry about that stuff. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do one of those. I'm gonna put that there, this is looking good. Or you can just keep going back and doing the same thing and, you know, when you fail, just go back the same way and not understand why you're failing. And I tend to do that when I go back and I hit the undo button too many times and I go and I do this. I kind of forget. I do. I kind of forget where I've been and what I've done. And sometimes it's logical. Your next step. And sometimes it's not. And sometimes that's okay. Like maybe it'll work out in the end and you're gonna get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it'll make sense. But sometimes you really need to do something that you probably wouldn't have done before in order to get something to reveal itself. And then maybe you tried and then you got real stuck in a corner. Shit. And you get here. And was this where we were before? Is this where I thought I was gonna go with this? I thought all the cards were gonna reveal themselves to me nice and neatly, and it would be easy. And now I have things all torn up, and things all over the place, and I got little adhesions, little things for me to get in my way and not be able to do things. And I don't know, it just seems a convenient metaphor. But I don't like to go back, basically. And you know, that may or may not be correct of me to do, to not go back. To only really go to a new deck, to try again somewhere else. Maybe it's, you know, maybe I'm not giving the deck enough chances. I don't know. What's the best way to play? What do you think the best way to play is? To do new decks? Or just restart this one over and over and over and over and over again until I get it, even if it doesn't have a solvable answer? Because do you know that not all random decks are solvable? Sometimes you're gonna start playing a game that literally no one can win. And you're gonna risk it anyway. You're gonna do it because you're like, but what if it is solvable? And I'm the first one to solve it. What if no one else no one else has ever solved it before? And then I come along and I solve it. So I should dedicate a lot of time and energy to this. Right? I should dedicate a lot of my time and energy to solving things that are literally unsolvable. Because what if they're not? What if, even though we know it's a known outcome? But you want the risk that you're going to get the one that isn't. You are just hoping so much that the one deck that you get is solvable. Do you understand this as a relationship metaphor by now? The one deck you want to solve is unsolvable. And then how long will you continue to try to solve it, even though I don't have to do this to myself. I don't have to do random spider solitaire. I don't have to torture myself like this. I could go to a known solvable deck and then just work on it. I work on that one problem until it's solved. Because it has a known outcome. It can be solved. That sounds boring as fuck. Just working on the same problem over and over and over again, memorizing it, getting to know it. All of its different quirks and little nuggets of what feels like significance. You think it's significant, maybe, that it has an ace next to a 7, next to an 89. Maybe you knew somebody that was their birthday. You know, maybe it's pulling out your lucky numbers, maybe it's pulling out your unlucky numbers, maybe it's pulling out, maybe it's pulling out the passcode from where you used to live with your first roommate when you were just a fresh human getting started in the world. I don't know. It's your life. I don't fucking know anything about it. I don't know what you're trying to do to me over here. Yeah. Maybe though you get really tired and just working on the same problem over and over and over again sounds kind of nice. Like, that actually doesn't sound too bad. I'm tired. And you see other people around you continuing to try to solve different problems, and you're gonna watch me for the rest of my damn life trying to solve unsolvable problems. And being happy to do so for the rest of my life. And you're gonna settle, and you're gonna be real confused as to, like, how and why I could live my life like this. Like, how and why is it okay for me to work on different problems all the time? And it's just a different philosophy about why we're here. Because maybe I keep hitting do not show again, and this bitch keeps showing again. And I know there's something funky in the Matrix, and I'm so close to getting it. Maybe the computer was wrong. Because you know it's a computer. Probably that's telling you some of these decks can't be unsolvable. Statistically, you can't, there's no way to move it in the correct sequences to achieve the outcome that you desire. Maybe, however, what if it's wrong? Because it already can't get some things right. So what if it's wrong? What if it's wrong? What if it's wrong? What if there was a glitch on the one deck, the one unsolvable deck you were trying to solve? And that's called aspiration. And sometimes, actually most times, it is quite literally the only thing that keeps me going. Because I aspire for more than what I can be. And I don't think that makes me wrong to do that. I think it's a very actually normal and healthy thing to do to question the world around you and its conclusions. To really say, is this really unsolvable? Did you really do it? Did you really try? Did you try at all? Why? It's just supposed to go and wiggle. And yeah, the universe is not software, but isn't it? Isn't it though, kind of? In its own kind of way. It's kind of like software. No, maybe, yeah. I think so. That's why I said it. I thought it. And I'm the one in control of my vocal cords, and I'm the one in control of my brain and my body, and I thought that, yeah, maybe there's a glitch in the Matrix. Maybe. The universe is a little different than we thought it was. And it functions and operates a little differently, and that's okay. It's not just okay. It's cool as hell. Maybe. I'm not going anywhere, I just was pausing. I'm thinking. Because you see all the options when you're looking at it. You see what you want to do. You can sort of move through it in your head. Just if only, if only. If only. What would this do for me? Sometimes you know it's not going to work though. But you saw it and you tried anyway. And sometimes you get a little win. Oh my god. Now we have to keep going. God damn it. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't in the plan. Guys, this wasn't in the plan. I just made this up. We know they're ahead. God damn it. Is this solvable? This is why I like to solve until the end. But I will move on to different problems. I have no problem moving on to different problems. It's okay to pause sometimes. It's okay to think about what you're doing. In fact, it's probably really good to think about what you're doing. Probably is the most beneficial thing you'll do to yourself all day. Maybe you've just made an utter mess of things. Now you have to clean it up. Maybe you're gonna make new messes. Maybe you'll keep that mess, but you're gonna get rid of that mess, and you have to sever ties. I don't know why I did a little surfer voice there. Please disregard this. Ooh, maybe do things you didn't even know you were gonna do. Sweet. And fucking maybe the world starts to make sense. This goddamn deck starts to make sense. And all the noises make sense. And all the connections you made finally make sense because you put them in the right spots. And you start to see everything clearly again. It's great. And there's really not much else to say, other than it's a pretty good damn day. We're gonna finish this. I just have to use my brain. Which is a concerning prospect for me, considering I have not made the full use of its capacities in recent times. I've definitely been making decisions. They are definitely the wrong decisions to make, and that's okay. Because sometimes you have to make the wrong decisions to see clearly. And sometimes you're going to get yourself in a position you don't want to be in. And you're going to have to, pause, reevaluate. That's okay. And that's basically all Spider Solitaire is. That's how you play this game. It's a very pretentious tutorial. But you can just make anything into a metaphor about life. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. And you can do all this stuff in whatever sort of grand sequence that works for you. Because sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But you'll kind of never know until you play until the end. So, you can have thoughts and feelings about whether or not you're going to win, whether or not you're going to achieve. But how will you know until you're there, in that moment? Whether or not it's something that you want to achieve or not. Because, so maybe it was in the past, but maybe in the present moment you've decided that it's no longer worth your effort, that you have realized that whatever you were working on was a distraction, and you have found a different goal and purpose in your life. And that's perfectly okay. To abandon thoughts that no longer serve you, to abandon goals that no longer serve you, to abandon people that no longer serve you. Not that people are there to serve you, but relationships that are draining and harmful. Maybe that's okay. So, anyway, that's my long rant about just what I've been going through, and what I've been thinking about in life, and what I've been trying to refocus on, which is doing what I can do. And what I can do is what I want to do. I want to stand up for myself, and I want to see this world, and I want to be loyal to my inner circle, and I want to strengthen those relationships. I only want to take on someone new in my life if they're proven themselves to even have an ounce of the desire that I do to get better. And one day I want to be the dumbest person in a room. One day. Probably today. Because I'm alone. That was the joke. Great. Great. Okay, this has been fantastic.